Hey everybody, in today's video, we're going to be looking at more complicated examples to start evaluating trig functions. And this is part 2 of the series of evaluating trig functions, and part 1 was completed in a previous video. Now we have to evaluate all 6 trig functions using the given information. Sine of x equals 1/2 and cosine of x is greater than 0. Now it might look like this information is really little and we might not be able to solve for it, but actually we can, and I'll show you how. So to better understand where this right triangle lies, so we can draw a right triangle and find all the 3 sides to start solving for the trig functions, let's first look at the coordinate plane. So we know the coordinate plane has 4 different quadrants, 1, 2, 3, and 4, which goes in a counterclockwise manner. And there's actually a trick to understand the positive and negative signs in each quadrant for each trig function. And that's all students take calculus or all students take chemistry, which means that in the first quadrant, all the trig functions are positive. In the second quadrant, only the sine function and its reciprocal are positive. And in the third quadrant, only the tangent function is reciprocal. So only the tangent function and the cotangent function is positive. And in the fourth quadrant, only the cosine function and its reciprocal secant function is positive. The rest are negative. So for example, in the second quadrant, the sine function and the cosecant function are positive, but all the other trig functions are negative in the second quadrant. So in our case, we have to find the quadrant where sine of x and cosine x are greater than 0, aka where sine of x and cosine x are positive, and that's in the first quadrant. So let's actually enlarge in this triangle and figure out all 3 sides. So we know sine of x is 1/2, so opposite over hypotenuse, we figured out 2 sides. Now let's see how we can figure out the third side. Take a pause and try and see if you can figure it out on your own. We can actually just use the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now we're plugging in the sides and we plug in 2 for c since that's the hypotenuse, and we get that the missing side is root 3. Now we can solve for the trig functions. So we know that cosine of x is root 3 over 2 because that's adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent of x is 1 over root 3, and we can rationalize the denominator and rewrite it as root 3 over 3. That depends on what your teacher expects of you. Some teachers don't want the fact that the radical is in the denominator, so you might have to rationalize it. And cosecant of x is 1 over sine x, which is 2, because we've already given that information. We just reciprocate 1/2, which is 2. Cotangent of x is 1 over tangent x, which is root 3. And secant of x is 1 over cosine of x, which is 2 over root 3. Hope this video helped. Comment down below any other math topics you want me to review, and hopefully this helped you understand trig functions and how to evaluate them. Thanks!